All right. I'll be mean. I'm going to start. You get to do the hard stuff. So.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So we'll do this is the Aruch HaShulchan on from HaEzer Siman Lamed. And I'm going to drop my video here so I don't have some weird hide selfie. There you go. Much better. Phew. Okay, so starting with Sif Kafavav. All right. Ita b'shas. Di'ima marlisha. Hikachili b'manne. Veshivato Tnam al gabe sela. All right. So she says, you put it on a rock, right? It's like really what the article goes with it in English is hard here. Eina mikudeshet. All right. That's not kiddushin. Ve'im haya sela shela mikudeshet. All right. Uvesela shel shnehem havi safek kiddushin. Okay. So that's the case. All right. V'yesh mirabatinu. Shepershuha, and all the rest of it is going to be how to understand those cases. Shepershuha kipshuta. All right, this is the simple. Some have the regular. This is the simple basic. Basic is the wrong word, but simple understanding. The basela shala mekudesha dehave kechatzera, and it's kinyan because it's her chatzer. Ukiilu kabla liada, as Rashi is the one here. It's like as if he put it in her hand. Same thing. Put it in her chatzer. All right. Basela shel shnehem. So what about the joint case? Right, even though this is the Tosfot's argument against Rashi, we know that a jointly shared chatzer doesn't have power of kinyan. All right. Now he loses the pshat of this at this point, I think, but here we go. All right. Ki amra lo tnamal sela da'atal mitkadesh. All right. All right, so since it belongs to both, right? She has some portion in this, and she says, put it on the rock. It reveals she wants to get married. The ihu nami kevan dirasonolet katsha hiknalo makom beoto hasela vikinato. All right, so it's like he in his mind, he's like he wants to get married, she wants to get married, so he kind of gives up like kinyan wise this rock to her, so that some portion of this rock is only in her domain at this point. And therefore the marriage counts as a kinyan chatzer. It's like the pshat is Rashi, and he's like he has to twist a little bit to get to explain Rashi against the Tosfot here. All right. Dilma. Here's a second one. Kevan shesela eno shela legamre dichuya be'almahu. All right. Or the possibility is, and of course, well, no, this is not a second possibility, but it has to be safek at the end of the day. So that's possible. The other possibility is that, no, she knows the rules of kinyan chatzer. She's like, this is just her way of saying, I don't want it. And so therefore it's safek kiddushin. All right. So this is the Ran and the Magid Mishnah who actually has this. V'cheinu data Rambam zal k'mo shekatav b'tseif vav ayin sham. K'mo shekatavti b'tseif vav ayin sham. U'shita zo. The mitam chatzer who tzarich lomar de'asela shela hu mishtamer ledata o omedet b'tzido v'chein mare sela shel shnehem. So because according to this, the sela has to either be in like a guarded place, has to have some control. It's not like just out in the open, or she's like standing right there at the time. And which I think is actually not crazy. You can imagine the two of them being in a place, and she points to a rock. It could be there. Yeah. So. Okay, yeah. That's all Rashi Shita and the explanations of Rashi Shita against the Tosfot. But okay, your turn.
Thanks. Yesh mi rabotenu shemefarshim delav mitam chatzerhi dinza de'i mitam chatzer ein safek b'chatzer shel shnehem devadai eina mekudeshet hachatzer hashutafim ein kunim zeh. So there are some people who say that we can't explain this in terms of chatzer, because then if we explain it as a kinyan chatzer, then we wouldn't be able to make sense of the case of the shutafim, because we know that a chatzer that's shared by two people doesn't affect a kinyan kind of generally. ומכאן מראה שיש קניין אחר, כגון שזרק לה אחר כך לתוכחה ושתקה. ובזה אמרינן כשאמרה תנם על הסלע, דחוי כמדחית. כלומר, איני חפץ בך. Right, I don't. So in other words, we have to come up with some other explanation of what's going on here. But if we do, it seems like when she says put them on the rock, she's actually saying I don't want them.
Mm-hmm. But and the important point here is that there has to be a follow-up action that has nothing to do with rocks, because the rock isn't
right. So if she says put them on the rock and then he throws them at her,
yeah,
she doesn't throw them back in his face.
No, she's still not Mekudesh. She just put them on a rock and it's not hers because she's revealed her da'at that she doesn't want it.
Right. But if she, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, but there's no havamina that just putting it on the rock bichlal would be good enough.
Exactly.
Okay, because there can't be a kinyan chatzar. All right. Now I've lost my place. Klomar eini chafetz utznam lemakom shetirtzeh. Right. So she says, put them on a rock, as in like just put them wherever you want, like i.e. not with me. וממילא דלא מהנה גם זריקתו לחיקה, כיוון שאמרה אינה חפצה בו, אבל אם היה הסלע שלה, אנו אומרים שלא כיוונה לדחותו. So, but if the rock was hers, then we assume that when she says that, she doesn't mean to sort of rebuff him. ואדרבה נתרצית, but actually no, she really wants it. ובזה ודאי, אפילו לא זרק לתוך חיקה, גם כן מקודשת מטעם חצר. Okay, I'm confused how we've reintroduced Tam Chatzer as sufficient.
Good.
We're saying it can't be Tam Chatzer for a case when it's not her rock, but we already knew that.
Yeah, in other words, so if it's, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to summarize here. Yeah. If it's her, this is the Chokat Mechokeks, as you can see, he quotes him here, right? If, and not everyone agrees with this, but if it's her rock, then it works because of Kinyan Chatzer. If it's not her rock, even if he threw it, like put it in her hand or threw it directly into, like into her chest, that doesn't work because even though it got directly to her and she said something, what she said was, I don't want it. And that'd be the same thing as, a man saying to a woman, you are Mekudeshet with this ring. She's like, no. And then he gives it to her and she takes it. Oh, that doesn't,
that doesn't work.
Yeah. Right. This is partially, I think, also starts to play out. We saw this in Shir, the whole thing of the chila is like essentially is what we hold by and not by the sof. And Rav Landis mentioned this about like, I'll put it in a different language than he used of like, if we take someone's initial word as their word and not their later word when they've been broken down by negotiations as their word kind of thing as well. So.
Right. Okay. Right. ולכן, אם היה הסלע של שניהם וזרקם אחר כך לתוך חיקה, הווה ספק אם כוונתה הייתה לדחותו או שנתרצית. According to the Rosh. So then if it was, the rock is shared by them, and then afterwards he throws it at her, it's unclear whether what she said initially was in order to, like, she was trying to rebuff him or she wanted it.
Exactly.
It's interesting that they, like, if we think about sort of what they're really interested in what she thinks, but what she thinks is binary.
Say more.
She either wants it or she doesn't.
Yeah.
She either wants to say like, get away from me, or yeah, sure. And like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Right. Like the idea of like, put them on the rock as in like, let's just take a moment.
Yeah, it's funny because I think in that case you could say, well, it depends if she go and take it afterwards or not. It's like put on the rock and deciding, and if she goes and gets it, then that's fine. And if she doesn't go and get it, it's not fine. And
right.
Yeah, but
okay. ומדברי הטור משמע דסלע שלה אפילו לא נתנם כלל על הסלע אלא זרקם לתוך חיקה מקודשת. I see, but now we're going to kind of play out the kind of implications of our assumptions that we've made to make this work. So if if the rock is hers and then he throws it at her, that still works because she's already made it clear that she wants it.
Exactly.
I
think you're in Ve'af, right?
Yeah, sorry, I just lost my place. Ve'af sheyesh lomar dehi הקפדה רק לניתם על הסלע ולא לתוך חיקה.
I think that's the end of the sentence.
That's the end of the sentence, right? Yeah. So like, even though it's possible that she only wants it on the rock and not on her lap.
Yeah, that's the Yamshel Shlomo who makes that claim there about it. So I don't think we saw, if I remember correctly, in Shir, but that's okay.
Okay. אמנם יש לומר דאין קפדה בזה שהרי בידה להתעלם מחיקה. Okay. Can
I just play that out a little bit?
Yeah.
Part of that is like, if she really wants it on the rock, he's like, okay, you can put it on the rock, essentially, like.
Right, like you do that. You want to put it on the rock? Great, okay.
Yeah. It's in your power now. So, okay.
וכן הוא בכל הדינים שהתבאר כעין זה, וודא דלידה זו אינו אלא כשאמרת נמל הסלע, ולא יותר. אבל כששים ואקדש לך שוב, אין ספק בזה, ומקודשת כזרקן לתוכך. So this is only in a case where she really says, put it on the rock, but not in other cases.
Yeah.
And in those other cases, it's basically sort of follows the general, it like follows the principles of.
Yeah. If she says, put it on the random rock and I will be married to you, then she clearly wants to be married to him. You know,
Right.
I mean, I guess you could create a case of like, what if the rock is at the top of the cliffs of insanity? That's my Princess Bride reference for the day. And, you know, and then, okay, yeah. So like, she's like, I'll be married to you if you do this crazy thing that you'll never be able to do. But it's just a rock, you know, so.
Yeah. She's not trying to push him away. אבל לפירוש הקודם, אף אם אמרה ואקדש לך אינו כלום בסלע סתם, כיוון דאין סלע שלה, right? If you think that what this is about is a kinyan chatzer, then it really matters who owns the rock, and that's all that matters, not what she says she wants.
Exactly.
Okay, but my the kanta.
I think it's continuation what you said before, but kivan de ena sel shalab, but my kanta. So how to like, you know, what did she use to actually do the kinyan?
Yeah, what is she right? What does she use to buy it? Uvadai de lidina lo fliga de arishona de zo binitnam tocheka rak de zo choleket al de arishona b'chatzer shel shnehem.
So okay. All right, Sifchet. Okay, I get to do one now. All right, but Yesh Mirobatenu. So that, like, we're not done, right? Yesh Mirobatenu, Desfirule, Gamkin Kidea Kodemet, the Bechatzer Shel Shnehem in Kinyan. All right, it's a joint thing. It's not a Kinyan. Mufarshim be'ofen acher, but a different manner of doing this. The Eina Tam Talui Kan beKinyan Chatzera. So Kinyan Chatzer is out. Ela the Masela Shela Samchadata. Right. Ucheina Shela lo Samchadata. This is this like weird phrase of some, you know.
Yeah, what does that mean? Like, I want to know what that actually means and where else it's used.
Yeah.
It's definitely used in lots of other places, but I kind of want to like.
It would be worth looking at that and like, what does that actually mean? Versus like, it's not a dihui. It's not a dihui here. It's like, am I really thinking about it or not? You know, like, yeah. I really agree with this. So
yeah.
Maybe we'll see. Uvesela shel shnehem yesh safek im simcha data in love, and we just don't know like what her mindset is if it's their own. You know, it's almost as if you could say like if she says, I think this is actually part of it. It's like is you know she being coy or not is one way to look at this. And you know, if he gives it to her, she says put on this rock and it's her rock. That means she's being serious about it. If he says, you know, put on this rock, then she's like not taking it serious, and it's not her rock, it's not taking it seriously. And we don't know if it's a shared rock. Is she thinking about his ownership or her ownership, essentially? You know, it's right. But though it's not a kinyan chatzer at this point. It's a question of you know, like what, so there might have to be another action that goes with it. Or well, actually we're gonna see this. Someone's going to make a case that this is, it's going to be here. So I won't say it yet. This is actually a fascinating take on, well, where's the kinyan actually going on here? Yeah. Okay. Ve'av she'en kan kinyan b'sela shel shnehem. All right. And even though there's no kinyan. All right. So my mahane smichat dat. So how does, you know, being somech dat help anything? What does that matter? Yeah. So remember, like the first one was a question of kinyan chatzer. Then there was the opinion of no, it's about is it dihui or not, and then she has to actually do something to do the kinyan. Maybe on her sela it is a kinyan chatzer, and maybe not on her sela it's not a kinyan at all, even if you throw it to her, something like that. So what is somech dat? Like how does that work? All right. Umay mahani smichat dat ve'ez safek yesh b'zeh. Where's the safek? Ach desfiru ledeazo. So what do they think? De be'amra tein maneh al sela ve'kadesh lecha de mekudeshet midin arev. This is like a fascinating take, right?
That's wild. Okay.
Right. Kimo b'tein maneh lefloni. Right. If she says to him, you know, give. You know, she says give it to Ploni, and through we saw this the law of the arev of the guarantor of a loan. Right, that works because she has like affected the status here. So same thing that the Bidin Arev, she would be married because he put it on the rock. All right, as you can imagine, we're going to see this. The pushback and be that only works for people, doesn't work for rocks. But we'll see. All right. 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 She agreed with it. Even though there's no kinyan. All right. Mikane or makne probably. Aval. Kamu Rabatino hiskimu de din arevut loshach rak kishiv sali ten adam. Right. And a lot of people say, no, that only works for the person. It's like a great question of kind of the intermediate of like, give it to the robot kind of idea. It's like, does that count? All right. All right. Hashlacha leibud. All right. De'ein bazedin arevut. Or even if like, she says, throw it to the fire. That doesn't work. That's not arevut. All right. Mihu l'maaseh yesh le'achmir. He says, but you should be stringent about that. Kevan de kama gedolim sovrim de yesh arevut b'chai gavna. That's what the Rosh says. So, all right. All right. That's all opinion 3 essentially of this. So we have kinyan hatzer. We have kinyan hatzer in some of the cases, but not all of the cases. And it's really about, is it a dichui or kinyan, hatzer? And then we have this case of somech dat. Those are 3 cases. All right.
Okay. Now we're going to get number 4. יש מרבותינו שכתבו דאם אמרם סתם תנן על הסלע אינה מקודשת אפילו נתנם על הסלע שלה. אבל אם יחדה לו הסלע כגון שאמרה תן על הסלע פלוני או על הסלע שלי מקודשת. Okay, but so then there are some people who say that if she just says put it on any old rock, even if it's her, if the rock he puts it on is her rock, that doesn't work. But if she says put it on this rock here, that does work. Or on my rock. Is the implication that if she says put it on this rock here, but the rock belongs to like no one or a third party, that still is effective?
That's what it sounds like here. This is the Ramah, right? That's where the way the Torah understands the Ramah. So.
כשאמרת נם על הסלע דיחוי כמדחית לה. ויש אומרים דאין חולק בזה, דכל הפוסקים מודים לזה. חלק המחוקק. אבל לא משמע כאן מלשון הפוסקים מדברי רבינו הרמה. ולמעשה פשיטה שיש להחמיר ככל הדעות. לדעה זו בסלע של שניהם הספק הוא. Okay, so maybe everybody thinks that you should.
הספק הוא, יש לומר, כדעה קודמת.
כדעה קודמת, okay.
So.
מדין ערבות.
In other words, you can explain it if you want, but it's not.
No, explain it.
Yeah, so I think, right, so the Ramah's opinion, the Ramah with the hay, Abulafia, right, is that his name? I think it is. He says, no, there's really a differentiation between, does she specify a rock or not, right? Say, put it on this rock or not. And the question of why, if it's a rock that belongs to both of them, that's a safek, is that, well, on one hand, like that could have just been a dichui, that she just said a rock and it was, not her, it was a rock that was owned by both. Or it could be that we actually say, well, because of Dinar Rev, that might work still. So it's a little bit, it's hard, this explanation, although apparently the Chalkat Machokek is it, I think everyone agrees with it, but okay. So
yeah, which is like, okay.
Well, sure, I think.
Wait, where are we?
Right. Here.
Oh, אפשר להסביר להן כדעה ראשונה דבסלע של שניהם הווה קניין לגבי קידושין. But it might be that they follow kind of the first approach, but that they think that for a shared rock, that kind of kinyan works for kiddushin, but not for other things.
Exactly.
Which is basically what we said. Yeah, that's like what we said in the first sieve. וכן משמע בסידור הלשון של רבינו הרמה in this place. Malvush, that's such a like.
I think
maybe this is what the Rama says.
Yeah. So there's also like an interesting idea that I think that this opinion here has started to combine different opinions as to like why you get that safek. It's like So it's like, why is it safek if it's a seller that they both own? Well, it could be that you might be choshesh for this opinion, and so therefore it's a safek, and we don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
All right. Yesh misha sover d'makom she'anu omrim shegilta data. All right. She'ein ritzona b'hakedushin. All right. Kefi ma shenitbaer. As lo havi kedushin afilu kishabala ada harkach. All right. So if there's one person who thinks that we say that if she's like makes it obvious, right, that she doesn't want kedushin, even if it comes to her hand, it's not kedushin. All right. Even if afilu kishabala ada harkach velo hishlichato, right, and she doesn't throw it away miada. Kemoshi amarnu bizrakla tocheka. Right, as we said, he throws it into her chest essentially. V'afal the b'seif yudchet. Halaknu ben kisheba le'ada levein latocheka. The hayala l'hashlicha miada. Right, we see this is a two difference that if it goes to her hand, she needs to throw it away. Mikol makom bechan yochel alamar. All right, l'shem matana kibaltif. She can just say, I took it as a gift. Why didn't I throw it away? I don't know. You said haret mekudeshet li betabadzo. No, don't want that. He throws it to her anyway. It's like, oh, thank you. I'm not married to you, but I have a ring, at the end of the day. All right. Umikol makom sarich iyun ledina. All right. Deme'ein la lomar shenatan la matana. Hello, hu amar shetikadshi li bazeh. Right. She can't say that. He said, be married to me with this. It's pretty obvious what he's going for here. So, all right. Beit Shmuel medamel. I'll skip the parentheses. Mitzarich iyun. Al Beit Shmuel besif katan yud zayin shekatav ken b'shem harama harama katav letoch cheka ayin sham u'ma shekatavti de'im amar beitz netina le'ada titkadshi li harezi mikudeshet pshita u'may kamashalon. Okay, so that was it. I thought, well, so it's actually not so many things that we had to do here.
But this is really he's so good at synthesizing the stuff.
He is. He's really nice at preparing these different opinions here and what they look like. Good. I actually thought one thing we could do, so I wasn't sure if this was going to take a lot of time or no time. Since we have a few minutes, what might be worthwhile is now looking back in the Drisha, actually.
Yeah.
So let's see, I have to find it. I think it is, this is Lamed in the Drisha. Yeah, it's my Drisha has numbers to my. This is Tet Vav in the Drisha for me, I think.
Is that umefarshim atzosafot?
Yeah, but I wanted to actually go to Ve'afal Gav, the Imasel Shalah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's just a little further down.
Oh, actually, maybe let's actually do the Drisha. Let's skip that. Let's keep going to Lachen Nirele Oniata Ti.
Okay. All right. Am I up for reading? I think I
Good.
am.
Yeah, if you want to, go for it.
Yeah, okay. Lachen nirele aniyut dati de masha katav rabinu di'im amratznuhu al gabe hasela shehu shala v'zarko achar kach letocheka de mikudeshet.
Lav dafka
tocheka ka'amar ela hu hedia al gabe hasela shala.
I have huadin.
Elahu, I just misread a line.
Oh, no problem.
Elahu adin al gabe hasela shala. Okay. So it must be that when the tour says throw it at her at her chest, we're not really talking about that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about sort of any kind of.
But you can even put it on the rock, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. V'hu ra'aya deharosh lo nakat belishono basela shala demikudeshet demari dafka bahaniach betocheka ayin sham. And I'm getting this from the fact that the Rosh doesn't include the language of Sela Shela, but does include putting it in her lap.
Yeah. He doesn't say that. Well, he doesn't say that when it says Basel Shela, that she's Mekudesh only if he throws it in her lap, right? That the Rosh never says that. So because the Rosh doesn't say that, it sounds like even if you put it on the rock, that's fine.
That would
you don't just have to, in this case, you don't, when she says put it on this rock that's mine, he doesn't have to throw it to her. He can actually put it on the rock, and the kinyan happens. So we have to figure out what's going on there. All right.
Okay. ואדרבה מתחיל וכתב, ז"ל דמיירי הכה אפילו זרק hemena letocheka.
Yeah, I think the key word here is afilu zarak hamanel tocheka. Even if you threw it to her, it works. In other words, it also works on the rock. There.
Right. That seems a little dachuk. Can I just say?
Say why?
I don't know. It just seems like the language, like if the I don't know, if the Torah wanted to say that it was okay to put on the rock, he would have said that. That's not a very articulate argument, I realize.
Yeah, that's
but
there is an assumption that goes on here that I think that the Tur and the Rosh, because of familial, connection, I think will often are assumed
right, that they have to agree with each other.
Yeah. So
right.
And I think he's getting this. I mean, he's getting it from the Ramah, but I think it's the Ramah as kind of filtered through the Rosh, if I remember correctly. So it's that could be why as well.
Okay. והדה קטני בברי תצנם על גבי הסלע דאינה מקודשת, מיירי אפילו זרקו לתוכחה וכולי. Right. Okay. So it's in the, wait, the afilo is in the Breita, or he's just reading the Breita that way?
Well, no, I feel the tochika is the Rosh, or the Rosh's. It's the Tosfot, but it's really the Rosh's addition.
Right. Okay.
It's the Rosh's understanding of the Tosfot, essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Hareja katav tchila demayri be'afilu zarak letochika retzono lomar de'ayri kipshuto vegan ayri afilu mizah. Right. Okay. So like when it says afilu zarak letochika, what it's saying is like, well, like it works in the basic case, and it also works in this further case.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think it's Mishum Hachi there.
Yeah, sorry, I keep losing my place today for some reason. Mishum Hachi Chazar v'katav had katane v'chulei debetchila ashma'inan harosh
It should be amar
leitain nen al gabe hasela shelo ayri b'chol gavna bein im natan al gabe hasela shela bein im natan letochika v'achar kach katav de be'inach baba de ina mekudeshet kamash malan habreita rufta afilu binatan letochika ina mekudeshet. Okay. So it seems like he's just kind of spelling out why, sort of further evidence for why we should read it that way.
Yeah. So in other words, if it works in both cases, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work in either case, right?
In either case, right?
Yeah.
Right. You kind of have to pick how you're going to read it and then stick with it. V'Rabbeinu katav b'tocheka b'tarvaihu. All right. So, but then the Tur is going to say b'tocheka in both cases. So that's going to lead us to read the Tur the way he wants to read the Tur.
Well, he's going to say lav dafka again.
Oh, okay. B'tarvaihu lav dafka.
Lav dafka kamar, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Ela agav shekatav debraita desela shel shnehem o sela she'ina shela ayri afilu bin natan letocheka kachatav gam came aresha. Okay. I'm not finding this like the most convincing.
No, but it's an interesting take on it.
It's very clever. It's very clever. I'll give it that. Yeah. Gam efshar lomar dehi ruvta. Lemanda amar ben Noal hasela de asa kesha amra pshita de mekudeshet ela afilu natan letocheka shelo kiyem b'mamara afilu hachi mekudeshet v'zeu lashon afilu de nakat harosh v'mayrina mi benatan tocheka afilu lo kibalto ela hashlicha b'shtika afilu hachi mekudeshet kevan de nizratzei tchila. Okay. V'amar le'nitzinam al gabe asela zahu shedikdek harosh v'Rabbeinu shelo katav v'kibalto ela al gabe amrale lo.
Amrale, yeah.
Amrale tnahu al gabe asela stam de'ena mekudeshet v'rufta chen katav v'kaimalan.
I think it's v'kala avim. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So in other words, I think part of it is the question here of is it, do you have to throw it to her, or is it, do you not have to throw it to her? Is question one. And she says, put on this rock. Is that sufficient? Just putting it on the rock? And he's claiming, yes, actually, one way to read it is it's completely sufficient, and also if you threw it to her, that works. And then the flip case is if you threw it to her, if she said, no, just put it on a rock, right? Just stam rock, not her rock, whatever the language is there, and if you put it on the rock, it doesn't work. And if you threw it to her, it doesn't work,
Yeah.
So it's, yeah. Okay. But should we keep going for another minute in the
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to back up here. I think it's actually worth rereading the tour now that we've seen this.
Yeah, right. And just like see how plausible it is.
Yeah, maybe I'll read Tet in the tour. This is so it's if you have a tour that breaks. I'm talking to the audience who may actually watch this after it's recorded. Who knows? If it's Tet in the tour if you have a breakdown for the Shulchan Aruch. All right. Amarla hidkachili b'maneh. Amralo tnehu al sela. אינה מקודשת, right? ואם הסלע שלה מקודשת, וכתב ורמה, כגון שיחדל לו הסלע, אבל אם אמרה לו תנהו על סלע סתם, אפילו תנו על שלה אינה מקודשת. All right, so that we saw that also playing out in the Aruch HaShulchan, he mentioned this. Okay, ואם הסלע שניהם הווה ספק. This is like really interesting. This is where the tour kind of throws everybody off. It says the Tosfot explain, what are we talking about? The Maire shnatano letocheka achar she'amra lo tneu al asela. Right? That she says put it on the rock. He throws it to her. All right. Afilo hachi eina mekudeshet tekevan she'amra lo tneu al gabe asela havekilu amra ini chafetz bekidushecha. All right. Ve'afilu zrako letocheka b'shtika kevan shegil tabedata she'ina rotza lehikadesh. דעת שאינו רוצה לקדש, יכולה לומר בתורת מתנה קיבלתי. אבל היא אמרה תנהו על סלע שהוא שלה, וזרקו אחר כך לתוכחה, מקודשת, שזה מוכיח שהייתה חפצה בקידושין. ובסלע של שניהם הבאת ספק אם חפצה בקידושין לעניין שאם יזרקינו לתוכחה שתהיה מקודשת או לאו. That's...
So doesn't seem like that's what he's doing.
It doesn't, or does?
It doesn't. But like, this hasn't made me more convinced of the Drisha, but maybe I've been biased from the start.
That's fair. Yeah.
Just because like I don't think the sentences are like constructed that way, but maybe that's wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might have to do with seeing the Rosh, which I haven't seen. And to be honest.
Yeah. So. Right. Well, maybe if I saw the Rosh, I would feel more. Pleased with this approach.
But I think that's probably just in terms of time. I know we didn't go the full 45, but I think it's
I think that's okay.
Stop. Yeah, as I'm getting tired of looking at this issue for the moment. I need a break before I rethink about it again. Truth be told. So all right, good. And hopefully, like how this. I think the important thing is that some of this. Maybe I'll just like to summarize. All plays out in terms of like what actually is required for Kiddushin, and like. How much does her initial thought process count, and how much, when do we take her seriously, when don't we, like when do we assume she's joking around, but also of like what actually manifests the Kiddushin at the end of the day.
Right. Like, I mean, there's a version of this. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can reconstruct which number sheet this is in the, well, it's sort of the first, like the Rashi Tosfot amalgam or whatever, the like Rashi complexly construed Shita, the first Shita on the Aruch HaShulchan, which seems like in a way what it's trying to do is say, I don't actually care that there was no kinyan.
Yeah. There kind of is a sense of that in some version.
Right. It's like, I don't care about that. And like, you're trying to bring me all this like Nizikin business about like how kinyan works, but I don't care because that's not how kinyan works for this.
Mm-hmm. That actually shows up again, right? In the I think it was the Gra, who the Aruch HaShulchan quoted, who suggested this. Is like in the Shutafim case, it's like maybe Kiddushin works differently. Right?
Yeah. No, he quotes it. Yeah, I think it is B'Shem Gra. It's like in the end of Kaftet, I think.
But all right, yeah.
It's like an interesting. I don't know, like whatever.
It is.
I'll just
I mean, I think one of the reasons I want to do this, and I think it was so great that Lexi brought this, and I don't think I still have a full grasp on it, is partially the sense of like I think this case more than anything kind of really defines what some of the boundaries are of Kiddushin and what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, not that I still understand it, because I think there's like 4 or 5 different shitot of what that is, but
Yeah.
it does help define it. So, but, all right. With that, have a good Shabbos.
Thank
Again.
you. Have a good Shabbos. I get to wish you good Shabbos twice. It's delightful.
I know it's doubly good shot, or maybe it like the first one cancels us. I don't know how it works. So it's
I don't know. It depends whether whatever we just did, like
it's one for each neshama that you get.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Exactly.
So. All right, Sarah.
Shalom. Bye.
Shalom.